And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel.
And I'm Brian Drake.
And I don't think we've ever done a review together before, but we both recently played Cantaloop, which is a weird looking game here. It comes in a notebook. Yeah, and this is, what do they call this here? A playable thriller. Breaking into Prison, it's called. I want to be really clear, folks. What this actually is a point-and-click adventure from your computer put in a board game form. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, I think that's literally. I don't know if they just can't say that on the box. They didn't want to say that, but that's great marketing, in my opinion, is to say it's a point-and-click adventure that's analog instead of digital. Never been done before.
So I'm going to show you real quick, folks. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just going to show you a little bit about what's in the game and how it works, and then we'll be back. All right, folks, I'm going to show you this without pretty much any spoilers if I can. You're going to have a book here, and you're going to be solving a bunch of missions. And there's a whole tutorial here at the very beginning that explains it. And you also have a deck of cards. You have this locked card here, which you can use, or you can just, I wrote down on a separate sheet of paper. But as the game goes by, it will say, cross off trigger A1, cross off trigger F4. And when you're reading through the book, it says, if F4 is crossed off, do this, etc. And this is just a way for the game to know kind of where your location is. You also have a little postcard here which will tell you different locations you can go to, and you're going to be at various locations. So for example, you're going to start here at the lighthouse, and so you'll notice there are two pages here. One here shows a picture of the lighthouse, another here shows a bunch of obscured text. And sometimes it will show you another location you can go to, like this says go to number 2, so I could go to the bottom of the lighthouse. Here in the lighthouse and go back to number 1. And as time goes by, you're going to be able to go to various locations. You're going to be finding various items throughout the game. I don't want to spoil what they are, but I'll show you the two that you start with. You start with both these items. So you have a cell phone and a magnifying glass. And what you can do is you can use an item on different spots on the board. So let's say I wanted to use the item here. When I do that, I'm going to line the items up like this, and I'm going to get a 4-digit code using the arrows. So this would be M8G2. If I put the magnifying glass here, I would have M8IO. And they're going to be in different spots. You will then look over here. Here's M8IO. And you'll go and you'll put the red text, this red thing here, and read what it says. Sometimes that will give you more cards. Sometimes it will just tell you some nonsense. It might open up a new location. It can do all sorts of things. You can also take two items and put them together. Each item is numbered. Magnifying glass is 38. Cell phone is 12. When you do that, you put the lower number first and the higher number next to it, and then you'll form another 4-digit code. When this happens, you go to your inventory paper and you'll look for that code on there. So for example, this is H7P5. I would look on here, and here's H7P5 right here, and then I would read that. Sometimes it might give you a combined item. Sometimes it'll let you do something. Many times it does nothing. And that's pretty much it. At that point, you're going to be just going through the story, trying to solve different things. Sometimes you'll run into people and you'll turn to the back where there's a whole conversation that you'll have with different people. Sometimes you don't get to read it unless you have a certain box checked off. And if you get stuck, there's a big help section here in the back. And what it will do is it will say, which thing do you have checked off? You just go down until you find the first one you haven't checked off, and then it will tell you to read a certain area, which will give you a tip, and a second tip, and then eventually a solution if you're too stuck. So that's pretty much it. The game will clearly tell you when it's over. So I can't really show you too much of the art without spoiling things, but you can see lots of different pictures and things like that. We have this little device here which lets you read things. I can show you in a tutorial. You know, really, this is just a tutorial. You can go through, and once you put it on top of stuff, it's very easy to read. The cards are fine. They're not like amazing quality. And the way you store this between games or when you're finished is you'll break the card deck up and stick it in here. And then in this pocket in the front of the book, this is where you stick all the extra stuff that you have. So that's the components. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about components first here. This is my biggest disappointment with this game. The book here, I've played through it. It's pretty beat up. I don't like these pockets at the beginning that hold the cards. The art's fine and everything, and the little red thing, I thought I was going to hate that little red decoder, because I dislike that, but it worked pretty well. But my biggest worry is that this book's going to fall apart. The pages are real thin, and then a minor quibble, Brian, I don't know if you have this problem. When it says turn to page 7, if you put your finger there and turn it, it goes to page 6.
Yes, it does. Like the tabs are on the wrong side.
Yes, I don't know why they did that. I kept turning to the wrong page.
I was like, this isn't right at all. We're not in the right location at all. Yeah, that was my issue. And the pages themselves, those little tabs are pretty thin, so they're easy to tear too. And so the book quality stuff, like you said, mine's already damaged. Like the corner mine's busted up pretty bad, and you cannot get those cards out of that thing easily. So once you get them out, just leave them out. Don't ever put them back in that.
Well, I think you have to, though, because how else are you going to store them? That's the problem.
Yeah,
I would have preferred this come in a box. Mm-hmm. A box with a spiral-bound book inside it for the things and the deck of cards.
Yeah, that's true.
I know they were trying to do something cute with this, but that's my biggest detraction of this, because the game itself, I really liked. What about you?
Yeah, same here. No, I love the mechanics. The only thing I had an issue with the little red thing was because Carl and I were playing it. I would sit it to the right, and she'd be like, "Where is it?" And we'd lose it on the table. So, which is kind of annoying, but. Yeah, I love the idea. And it's one of those gimmicks where you hear it and you go, well, that may not work. And it does work. Like the idea, it really feels like you're playing an old school point and click comedy kind of adventure from the mid-90s with Lucasfilm and stuff like that, or LucasArts. It really feels like that. And so they managed to capture it in the art style, obviously, but also the humor's there, mostly PG, a little PG-13 in places, but it's there, and but the mechanics actually work. It does feel like you are using this item to check out this thing, or using this to check out that thing, or talk to this person about this. Like it works.
Yeah, I really liked it. And so Brian's right. There's a moment that it got PG-13. It's mostly PG throughout the whole thing. There's a moment where it's PG-13, and I'm pretty sure it's a European versus American sensibility in that case. But yeah, you pick this up, put this together, use this with this. And, I mean, occasionally the game will say, that's a stupid thing to do. Actually, I shouldn't say occasionally. It tells you that a lot.
Fairly often. I love the self-referential stuff where it lets you know that it knows that there's a joke or a gag going on or something like that. I say like it's a Ouija board, but it's the person that's just like.
So depending on your age, you may not have played the LucasArts point-and-click adventures, and there's a lot more than just LucasArts. But that's my frame of reference, and I'm telling you, whoever put this together knows those games. Because this game, the dialogue in here feels like it was written by the same people. It is over-the-top cheesy. It's grown-worthy. Everyone in this story is just shy of being a complete moron, including the main character.
That's right.
And so if you think you could get someone, like if someone's blocking your path and you can think of some idiotic way to get them out of your path, it will work, likely.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I was going to say is that there's moments too, because it'll tell you if you're having a conversation, you turn to this page to continue to have the actual conversation, and you'll do it and you'll think, oh, this is not going to be a good result, and you'll flip to the page and yep, I knew it. I knew this was going to be this. But just the action of having to flip to that page to see if it was a dumb idea or not is still kind of fun to me. It's that like, please tell me this works, and it's like, no, you're an idiot. Why would you do that? So.
Now, in the back, there's a hint system here, and the hint system, it walks you through the story's broken into 2 parts. One part is at least twice as long as the other part.
Sure.
And anytime I found there's the hint system, and I really like the hint system, because the hint system basically says, which letters have you crossed off? Have you not crossed off this one yet? Read this hint. And that's a fantastic way. I would just skim down, you get to the first one, and then I only needed maybe 5 or 6 hints over the course of this adventure. And every time I needed a hint, it was one of 2 things. It was one, hey, you need to go get something from the other half of the adventure. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the other time was occasionally this delves into an escape room mentality.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, I might say, look on the back of the book here. That's not one, so I'm not spoiling it. But, like, did you look on the back of the book for something? And I'd be like, oh. I forgot. I got so caught up in the point and click part of it that I forgot that there could be some escape room stuff in here.
Yeah, and that's trippy because it's never sold that way. Like, they don't tell you, hey, this is going to be an escape. So, like, even though in my mind I thought maybe this will happen at some point, you know, like you're looking for that to happen. When I needed it, I totally forgot about it.
Now, how long did it take you to play, and how many people did you play with?
Carl and I, we did it over 3 different nights. So we probably put, let's see, if we did that, it's probably 2 hours each. So 6, 7, 8 hours probably total, all encompassing. But that's because we kind of just slow rolled it, and the kids were running around in the background a little bit in times, and so it probably wouldn't take that long. And they said it's a part 1, right? So I don't know if part 2 is going to be longer, if it's going to be different. I don't know. But
I will say I forgot it was a part 1, and when I got to the end, I was like,
what?
Oh, it's not finished yet. I mean, that's just the storyline.
No, that's right. The other thing that's trippy though is you got to be careful about is when using items, like, you forget what you can do sometimes mechanics wise, and so that was one of the times that we got stuck. It was like, oh yeah, we forgot to combine these things or whatever, you know, the right way. And so there's little trippy things like that just come from translating a digital product to an analog. But I don't know, it just works. Like, I love the idea of it, you know.
Yeah, it took me about 3.5 hours. I played solo, and I just sat down.
Somebody's a very smart gentleman.
Well, no, and there was one point where I brute forced a section. I was like, I don't know what to do next. All right, I got 12 items here. I'm going to combine them in every way possible.
Yeah. Which,
by the way, is not always the best idea. So one thing I want to talk about that I really like about this game are the special cards. I don't know what to call them.
The achievements?
Yeah, they're like achievements, I guess.
Yeah.
So if you try to do something in the game that you probably shouldn't do, it will give you a card telling you that you are whatever compared to that. So, for example, at one point, there was something and I needed it. I was trying to solve something, and so I used outside nerd knowledge to solve it, and then it said, draw this card, and it said, you're a nerd. And that's it. Yeah. So I like that because it like said, okay, we get it. We knew you knew this stuff, but you didn't have to know that stuff to finish the game.
Right.
You're not supposed to use any outside stuff. It's only stuff that you use in game. But if you try stupid stuff, you know, like if you have fire and an ice cube, and you're like, oh, I'll put these together, and it might say, you're a pyromaniac. It might say something like that. And I only got, I think, 4 of those cards. And when I was done, I looked through the deck, and I think there's like 20.
There's a bunch, and there's so many ways to get them too. But like, it was one of those things where they're numerically in the deck, they're close to each other. So when you do something that you think is like, maybe this will work, maybe it won't, and it tells you take this card, and it's in that range, you're like, dang it, I know this is not good.
So if I was recommending a game, and I am recommending it, if you like those point-and-click adventures from back in the day, it's not even close. You want to play this. It does a great job at bringing that onto a board game and allowing multiple people to play it. Yeah. The story is silly and cheesy and fun. If you don't like cheesy humor, you might want to skip this. If you're looking for an escape room, this dabbles with that, but this is more of a follow a storyline. Pick this up to go here. And also, I would argue that there's, again, some fiddliness of components. In fact, there's sometimes you put a card on top of a page that covers up something, and then I move to a different page. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with that card when I flip that page? So I would have
Yeah, I
set
was
it
thinking maybe some
aside.
double stuff, like a little sticky tack or something that would come with the game to stick it on there that's removable.
Or maybe
would
a
be nice.
sleeve in that location. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to spoil
That's
anything,
right.
and I would put it in there. So that's my biggest knock. But overall, I would give this an 8 out of 10. I had a lot of
Yeah.
fun playing it. And if you like that style, that's what I think. What about you, Brian?
No, I'm the same way. I like that the characters themselves, even the side characters, the little interactions, they don't feel flat. They feel very like each one feels a little different, like, in somewhat. Like so, the kid that you talk to sounds much different than the other. And sometimes like in
I did not like the kid.
Yeah, no, exactly. The kid reminded me of all Gen Zers that I could think of, like my nieces and nephews. But, yeah, I like the art style is fun. It's kind of a throwback. Don't like the book necessarily itself, like just being a book. Like you said, I would rather be a separate book and a separate deck of cards and stuff like that. But the adventure itself was fun. Like it was something where even when we got stuck, we weren't like, well, heck with this, or I guess we're done for the night. It was like, okay, we got to figure this out. How do we get past this? And then if we had to use the hint, we had to use the hint. But it was compelling, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Like you wanted to actually finish that story. So I really enjoyed it. I would echo your 8 for sure. Just if not just for the ingenuity and trying something that actually worked. That's always good when you try something and it works versus, hey, here's a gimmick and a gimmick garbage. So.
Well, there you go, folks. That's Cantaloop Breaking into Prison, Part 1. I'll definitely be looking forward to Part 2 as time goes by. Until next time.
And if you want to learn how to break into prison, follow me. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, my word. Fine. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Bryan Drake.
Yeah, that's an assumed name, by the way. Have fun breaking into prison.
That's it. Yeah, join me.
Dice Tower Judgment approved.